yeah. I'm here with the heavy metal comedian, the Slaughter Lord himself, Steve Hughes.
Hello, welcome.
How's the drought? How are you feeling the climate change?
Fucking climate change. Don't get me started on this fucking New World Order nonsense. So
I said I wasn't going to talk about the weather, but no, actually, I have a three-part question for you. Can you describe for the audience what BPMs are, what blast beats are, and then let everybody know how long you can play a solid blast beat at 200 BPMs?
well, BPMs are beats per minute, folks. Blast beats are basically, how do you say this? Because no one knows it, so it seems weird. I'm one of the guys that invented blast beats, but no one would know, and you can't tell anyone because you sound like a dickhead. But we did it like in the 80s. We did it in the 80s because we used to listen to Hella Waits and Bonded by Blood on 45. So it was hyper fast, and then we just started doing these blast beats in the Slaughter Lord demo, and so it's not just me, because that era is like Charlie Bernardi from Anthrax, say he did it on Milk from SOD.
Right.
But then there was also Cryptic Slaughter from Canada. They were hanging around. They were early blast beat, and Napalm Death comes in early with blast beats and sort of
sure.
Yeah. So that was just kind of happening, and then because obviously it was Thrash had come, and then humans always go, well, let's make it more intense, don't they?
Right.
Someone ran a mile in 4 minutes. I'll fucking do it in 3 minutes 50.
Right.
So, and how long can I hold blast beats these days?
Yeah.
Not like I fucking could in the 90s. I tell you.
Yeah, if you need an exercise plan, blast beats at 200 BPMs. Yeah. It's like machine gun.
Sorted, folks. That'll get you sorted. That's the first thing I noticed when I started comedy. I came off stage and thought, there's no release in this. You know what I mean? Blasted metal bands, you come off, all right?
I don't
comedy,
know.
you come off, you just, oh, well. That's why you end up on cocaine with porn habits.
Right. But just play metal if you want to get there. I gotta admit that I was more familiar with your comedy career than your music career at first. So I went back and I was listening to like some Slaughter Lord and stuff. And I mean, this is coming out of Australia around the time Metallica is doing their stuff as like an American thrash band. And I'm wondering, why do you think Metallica sounds like a bunch of pussies in comparison to what you guys were doing with Slaughter Lord?
Well, I don't think they sounded like pussies. We were totally inspired.
It's just my opinion, yeah.
Now, I mean, we could talk about Metallica if you want, Jesus. So you see, I was there from day dot from Thrash. So I'm one of these guys that gets into metal around like 81. So we're getting Number of the Beast. That was a big album that the world kind of got into metal over. And then, I mean, those early 80s, if you're into metal, that was a great fucking time, because you've got Maiden, Scorpions, Priest starting to get big in the States.
Right.
We're Screaming for Vengeance, Number of the Beasts, Blackout, Love at First Sting. That starts to move. That's why those Priest, Scorpions albums get a bit dodgy after 82, because they're trying to fall into what is coming up in LA with the hair metal.
Right.
Which has come out with, I loved early hair metal because it was Motley Crue. Early Motley Crue's fucking, don't tell me early Motley Crue didn't influence black metal bands. They're covered in blood and spikes and pentagrams. Right?
My last band was actually on a Motley Crue tribute album, but we did like a black metal variation of it. And
right. So of course that early 80s, and then so I'm getting into metal at that time, but there was something, and then of course American heavy metal is starting to birth, like with Manowar and and those underground bands that never quite made it because they were in that time where thrash burst in, and they weren't as good as the new wave of British heavy metal bands they were influenced by, all this sort of, which you'd hear all those bands on Metal Massacre from Brian Slagle and US Metal, which used to be these compilations by a guy called Mike Varney. So I'd get all these things. So they had all like Lizzie Borden and Liege Lord and, like Hellstar, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then, but then see, so I'm listening to sort of, I've got your Scorpions and your this and your that, and sort of, I like Manowar, and I'm getting some underground, Witchfinder General, underground Europe, because I realized I was right into the scene, but didn't sort of realize how early I'd gotten into it. And then,
right.
And then sort of when Kill 'Em All hit, we were getting early stuff like Fast as a Shark and getting some faster stuff. But when Kill 'Em All, Fistful of Metal, Show No Mercy, Peace Sells, and we'd heard about these bands through tape trading, like the Metallica demo, and I had Wasp's demo before the album, that kind of stuff. That first Wasp album was so fucking great. And then, but once those records hit, that was kind of like Number of the Beast affected so many people. Those records just smashed into people's consciousness. It was almost like, this is what we've wanted heavy metal to sound like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like,
it's Steve Harris on the bass, one of the best bassists like out there.
Oh, and when Thrash hit, for me, I basically like dumped traditional heavy metal.
Right.
because I liked it.
Yeah.
It didn't do what Thrash did.
Yeah.
Right. It's almost like Henry Rollins. I saw him interviewed once, and he goes, he was into Led Zeppelin and Journey and stuff and rock, early 70s and what, but then he heard the Ramones, Dead Kennedys, and everything went.
Yeah.
Right.
And you get Black Flag and everything, and Rollins
because suddenly you realize, well, it feels like you equate with it. Those first pictures of Metallica on the back, they look like you.
Right.
They don't look like Iron Maiden. We've all got things and lights, and there's a bloke with a denim jacket with a Venom badge. You're like, and plus the music was just what you wanted to hear. It was fucking aggressive, and so then I went full-blown threat. And I like the eccentricity of it all. So I love so then it was Celtic Frost, Creator, Sodom, Destruction, Merciful Fate.
Oh, I was thinking of Merciful Fate, and I wanted to ask you, because now Shul, like when you're talking about getting more and more extreme and pushing it with the metal, when did you get into the even more extreme, like the just all the double kick and the corpse paint, and did you wear the makeup too? But you were on the drums, so probably not.
I've got a great head for sunglasses and hats, but I can't do makeup and headbands.
Right.
That doesn't rotten. Do you know, here's what's funny. Once I hit sort of the early thrash around 83, it was everything. Bathory, everything. It was extreme. I fucking got into. By about 80, and then I had Slaughter Lord, and I was in Mortal Sin. I was just fucking metal. But then by about 87, when thrash is starting to get sort of known through Injustice for All, Creator had been around long enough, you're getting sort of extreme aggression, which is more accessible and everything. And,
right.
And also death metal from that is starting to birth at that time, that people are hearing Cannibal Corpse and Deicide are coming to bring that news. And so I really, around 87, started not listening to metal. So when everyone's starting to hear it, I'm starting to listen to
Enya, right?
Enya in about the 90s, but at that time it was like I started to listen to a lot of Police and Supertramp, Kate Bush, Peter Gabriel.
Oh yeah,
musicians. Just because because when you start all these bands when you're young, that's why I don't mind when some of these bands change, because they put their first album out when they were 17. So by the time they're 22, they're 24, they're different people.
Totally.
So by that time, I just realized I can't, I'm becoming a fucking 22-year-old guy. I can't just sing about Satan and getting pissed and like it. And you just but I was still connected to metal because I was in a band. Then I made another band after Mortal Sin called Presto, which was like 5 years, made 2 albums, but it was a strange, eclectic mix of things, right? But they got further and further away from metal as the years went by.
Right.
But I was still connected because I was still in bands, so I was still hanging around guys in metal bands. Right?
Yeah.
And I still loved metals, but the main two bands that kept me at that time was Sepultura and Morbid Angel.
Oh hell yeah! No, I saw Morbid Angel in L.A. Like, it's a fantastic show. But they've always been one of my favorites. Altars of Madness, Dominion, like just fantastic.
Mate, Mate, unreal. I was listening to Domination just the other day. Because that's the album. Some people go, no, it's not. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Fucking intense, man.
Where the Slime Live, that As I Thought tribute to Eddie Van Halen is such a badass song.
mate, he's my favorite extreme metal guitarist. Easy.
Right. Yeah.
Because he understands all this technical chaos, but he understands absolute filthy fucking dirging wang bath.
Oh, right. Yeah.
He makes sorry.
What's his name? Ishan Emperor.
Yeah.
Those are my top two. Yeah, metal guitarists. Yeah.
Well, getting back to when did I get into this more extreme stuff? So I was sort of still listening to metal and that.
Right.
And I thought the 90s got some good metal. I liked that first Machine Head album. I thought that was fucking great. And I think the Fear Factory hit with Demanufacture, that's a fucking crushing fucking record. And
love that one. White Zombie.
Yeah, all this stuff. I didn't mind some of this stuff. And I didn't mind some of it because grunge had turned up there, what they call grunge. But,
that's where I started, yeah.
But I saw all that birth because I hung around punks. They had the first Nirvana album. Chinks, I knew these punk chicks,
Right.
Saw early Soundgarden, early Chili Peppers, Faith No More. You saw James Hetfield with a Faith No More shirt on the back of the EP, you know what I mean? My punk mates had the first Faith No More records. So I saw all that stuff, and I like some of that stuff. I like some of it. I'm not a big Nirvana fan or anything, but because it didn't really suit me. It's not my zeitgeist,
Sure, yeah.
Good songwriter, But
for sure. Speaking of Faith No More, how do you feel about Mr. Bungle?
I don't like that stuff.
Really, the experimental all over the place changes, and
I could always as a sort of artist, but as a creative guy, I always like, okay, great, he's a maniac. It's going to make yeah, right. Are you going to listen to it? No. Right. I don't respect it, but I'm not going to listen to it.
Eat enough LSD and it'll make sense.
What am I going to tell John Zorn? He's not a good artist. I don't want to listen to his records. I mean,
right.
John, what's his name? Tom Waits. He's an interesting character. I don't always want to listen to his fucking records.
For sure. If
I'll tell you what,
if you want to get depressed drinking alone, you put on Tom Waits.
What I've been listening to a lot lately is hang on, I'll just finish this. So when I was in this Presto, that's when I joined the Zool.
Oh, okay.
How I joined the Zool was Presto was a kind of eclectic rock band. We had folk songs, we had rock songs, we had it was a band you couldn't market, right? So. Right. So the guy
That's my wheelhouse.
Yeah. Well, the 90s had lots of bands they didn't know how to market. Jellyfish and fucking
right.
So great bands. So the keyboard player who had played in the Zool, who's the engineer of all those Zool albums, and he's still an engineer. He saw Presto play because he's an eclectic guy, likes lots of stuff. And he liked the band, so he goes, "Do you want to come in?" And he was learning to be an engineer. He was still a pretty good engineer at the time, but he's just a dedicated guy. So, "Do you want to come in?" And he had a great studio, access to the biggest studio in Sydney. He goes, "You can't release it. You can come in after midnight, and I'll record you, and I'll practice fucking engineering, and you can get some tapes." Right?
Cool.
So then we did that, and then he went, "You're the guy that used to drum in Slaughterlord, then, aren't you?" He goes, "I've got this band called the Zool, but we've got no drummer, right? Do you want to come down and just play on the fucking tracks?" So I went, "Yeah, right." So I hadn't blasted for years, and that's when I started. Because as I said, I'm still hanging around metal, because that's when Emperor and everything starts thrown,
right.
Mayhem, all that stuff. So I'd seen it all, but I hadn't always been listening to it all. So then I got fucking right into that first Emperor album.
Oh hell yeah!
like that just hit it, and like that switched me back into fucking extreme music, to search for stuff,
Wait, who records in a cathedral? Like the acoustics? How do you deal with those transients? You don't. You just don't.
It's a great record, that fucking thing, man.
Oh yeah.
So then I was kind of recording with Nazul, still being in Presto. Because Nazul didn't gig, it just did studio, just did recording. So I was playing extreme black metal in studio and then playing live, and then deciding I should start comedy.
Yeah. I can't. That's like there's I don't know if you've ever seen that show Metalocalypse.
Yes, I've seen it a couple of times. Yeah.
The best episode of all for me is when they decide that they can't deal with all the dark, dreary metal stuff, that they're just too dark. So they decide to go into stand-up comedy. And it turns out that the stand-up comedy's way darker and more metal. So like it all hinges around like, no, you got to start by hating yourself. But the most important lesson is you've got to hate the audience.
That's fucking funny. That's
James Hetfield. James Hetfield played their comedy coach in that episode. He did a cameo. So good.
I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. You don't know how metal this is, boys. You got to start hating yourself. Real.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you know what? As you hate yourself, you've got to be able to laugh at it. Just laugh at yourself.
Right. I got a buddy who's done comedy in like New York for the past decade, and he always says, I don't trust happy comedians. I think there's maybe something wrong if you're too well put together.
Mate, I've excuse me, that's the problem with this modern day crowbarred in comedy where everybody's got to have a go.
Right.
and once they started put, what do they call equity quotas and all this bullshit. And so, because once, what was I going to say? Yeah, comedy used to be, and once those shows like the X Factor and that did it with comedy, and the stand-up comedy became more stadium-like, then you've got more normal people hearing about it. So now there's normal people going, I might do that for a career.
Right.
But you know what I mean? Like, and so now you've got, there's, which happens in all things when they get bigger. Thrash was better when it was young because there was more freaks and that in it, and then more people you can't stop this.
Right.
And now suddenly there's tons of thrash bands, but they're not all great, and they're not all filled with freaks who were living in share houses with a bunch of punks and goths in the early 80s,
Right.
Suddenly they're like, I remember in the 2000s, like sort of a bunch of thrash bands come out of England and they'd be in Metal Hammer and stuff a lot. And I always remember this, and they did a photo session where in the guy's mum's house. They kind of, which is kind of English quirky humor. I get it, right? But it's like, but I'm like, thrash bands don't do photo sessions in their mum's house where she's got some tea, and Kill Switch Engage might, but nobody.
Right. All of the real metal bands go out into the middle of the woods or a graveyard. That's maybe an abandoned warehouse.
You've got it to industrial estate, brick wall, tunnel near the railway station.
Right.
Railway lines, you have to do the distance. That will work.
Your mom's house. What is that? A doily on the couch?
Yeah, Paul Baloff never had any doilies, right?
Yeah. So
that is funny, like I mean, well, it's like Lemmy said, of course you're going to dress up like a character. Why? Well, you want to come and see something out of this world, don't you?
Right, totally, yeah.
Right, you don't want to come and see the bloke who's the plumber. Like,
yeah.
There's a great bit in the Motorhead video where the doco, and there's a fan getting a photo like this, and he's like this, and Lemmy just turns to him and goes, "Don't smile, look cool."
Yeah.
You don't look. You're not getting a photo with your grandma.
Right. Yeah. That's funny.
Get a photo with Lemmy, mate. Fuck.
Right.
You want a cool photo, don't you?
Yeah.
Fuck it hell.
Yeah. We used to like I mentioned in when we were texting, I was in this black metal band in LA that's kind of just been a haunted the city for like 30 years at this point. Started in '87. I joined like 2010, but it was like just a full-on theatrics, like big wooden cross upside down with a brain nailed to it, and like fake blood, and like just yeah, it was wild. And I mean, that's the part where even in hindsight you can agree completely where grunge took the fun out of rock and roll. Right. Shoegaze, we're just going to stare at our shoes the whole time.
And it was almost, you could almost say, it's like to me sometimes I go, I wonder if it was planned or if it's just coincidence. It's almost like the beginning of, which is the 90s, where PC starts to sort of become more thing. And when you listen to some of those bands, Pearl Jam especially, it's almost like Like,
yeah.
Here's a poor chick who lives in Minnesota. His boyfriend doesn't love her. But suddenly we went, how did we go from Motley Crue going, fuck chicks? Right. I can sort of understand why, because you can't just be Motley Crue forever. And, I'm not that type of guy. But you can see, come on, it is rock and roll. It should be a bit fucking.
Yeah.
And that's why metal was always more. When I was in that Presto band, I never found like the photo sessions as much fun as I did. It was a bit better at the end when we got more character, like the suits and weird things, and our bass player looked like he was in jellyfish and all that. But it was never as much fun as metal.
Yeah.
When you fucking go to the graveyard and there's fire and you can wear.
I used to dress up as a cyborg. like from Star Trek, just total like Borg, but
it's like when I make video clips for I made a couple of clips for my album, and that someone said to me that you do two of them in graveyard, but they're both in graveyards. I said, well, if you need a set, can you think of a better? I don't have a Hollywood set, right? Here's a set. Crosses, angels, you know what I mean? It's great.
You don't have a Hollywood set. You have a blank white wall.
I have a blank white wall with a Motorhead skull. That's all I've got. So, you get down the graveyard. Well, there's a huge angel with a thing on it. Oh, a bit of that.
Not really have to worry about somebody trying to photobomb you, like everybody's pretty quiet.
No one else is here. There's an old bloke with a dog. We'll wait till he walks past. That's all right.
Right. So I wanted to ask you,
so where do you live now? Sorry.
Oh, I'm in North Carolina. Yay.
Okay.
Yeah. Like the Bible Belt.
Yeah, okay. So sorry, what were we going to?
Yeah. So did you start comedy in Australia, or you did like your first open mics and stuff in Sydney?
Yeah, as I said, I was still in bands and I started doing comedy. So I've been doing comedy about 3 years before I came to the UK, which I think is a pretty wise thing to do. You want to have some fucking miles under your belt before you just jump into London and go, hey!
Right. I'm here. Give me a picture.
Yeah. It's all right starting here if you live here because you can go home. But if you fucking don't live here,
Right. So
I went old school. I came here at 33 years old with $500 and 2 phone numbers. I went, all right. Fuck. This is old school. This is old school punk fucking methods. Right?
That's how I did LA, like going from the southeast to LA, $800 and a job interview, and stuck it out for 2 decades, but it didn't really pay off. Like but
it paid off in the sense that you could have been sitting in fucking North Carolina for fucking 2 decades.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Here's the part where I don't think about success as the same as a lot of people, right?
Sure.
I could be more successful than I am if I marketed myself more.
Right. Oh, I hate marketing.
Yeah, so do I. Right? It's
dirty.
I don't mind artistically expressing myself in photos so I look good and cool and I make it fucking excellent, right? Marketing like this, but I don't like it. It's a weird thing to try and here's the stuff I draw it up from the bottom of my heart, and it's $7.99. Yeah. It's a hard one to fucking cross.
I need a barcode now. Oh shit.
No, so like you said, man, anyone that I've always respected anyone that went, right, I got to get up and fucking go. And because here's what most people don't do. Well, I don't know if I'm ready, mate. You're never ready. You just jump. If you jump off, something in the universe goes, why? Because you took the chance.
Right. Yeah. That's
if you don't jump off the cliff, nothing can come out and go, there you go. You didn't know that was there, did you?
Right.
Because you don't know if you went to LA and then you went to a party and some bloke went, yeah, I get a job. I know a bloke who wants a guitarist. Yeah, that's
for sure. Yeah.
If you're still sitting at home, you wouldn't know that bloke.
Yeah. So it did pay off. I retract my statement. I misspoke.
Yeah. It's like once when I was in Presto, we needed a singer when I started that band, and to me and the bass player, we've gotten a bus in Sydney and went to Melbourne, which is 12 hours on a bus, to put up signs and saying, we'll come to Melbourne if you want, we'll move this far. looking for a singer. We'll go to record stores and rehearsal rooms. Got back on a bus 2 days later, 12 hours, back to fucking Sydney. Went into Sydney the next day to a record store to do it. Found a guy who was a singer looking for a band. Found the number, rang him up that day. He ended up joining the band for the next 5 years. He was the fucking singer of Presto.
Nice.
And people go, oh, so that trip to Melbourne was a waste of time, was it? No.
Right.
that trip to Melbourne helps the universe go, oh, by the way, you'll get your singer the next day when you get back to Sydney.
Right.
Yeah, that's how I think about things. Like jump off the cliff.
Yeah.
Do something extreme.
Yeah.
For something extreme to happen. You know.
Are you one of those people that pays attention to synchronicities throughout your day-to-day life?
I always used to. I don't know if I pay. I used to seem to get more synchronicities and spiritual weird things happen to me when I was younger. I don't know if I got off course or something.
You cut your hair. That's what happened. You were Samson, and then you like cut the hair.
Maybe I took too much cocaine and fucked it all up.
I don't know. I had a bit of a meth problem for a while. That seemed to open a lot of doors that weren't there before.
But I respect anyone that goes right. You know. See, here's what I don't like: PC stuff and all these people fucking carrying on about why we can't do this and we don't get enough chances. You don't understand. You've been blessed. If you've been blessed with being an outsider, I know it's tougher. I know it is.
Right. Yeah.
But the problem with PC people is now is they go, well, the whole majority should conform to us. No. See, you don't want to be in there.
Yeah. Right.
All it's offering you is 9-to-5 jobs, fines, tax, fucking rates, insurance. That's all it's got.
More rules, just more fucking rules.
Stay out here, and when things are up against you, be grateful.
Yeah.
because you feel better when you do it. I mean, you're old school punk, underground metal. What is it? Well, is there a scene? No, we'll make one.
Exactly. Yeah. You know,
I think a lot of the underground sort of alternative touring scene that people do in the States now was carved out by Black Flag.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like just in a van, it became like a sort of cow track that like in the old Europe where they built a road where the cows used to walk. I think Black Flag almost could have carved out that kind of clubland of fucking by themselves, you know. It's like,
yeah. I would say Skinny Puppy was partly responsible as well from Toronto coming. Yeah, they toured a lot back then too.
Mate, they're another band who I totally love but don't like all their records.
Oh, Skinny Puppy.
Yeah. Like, I respect totally. What a fucking great band. What a creative maniac. And but I really only like 1 or 2 albums. I'm like,
well, you know. The thing I like is all their albums are completely different from the previous ones. You never know what you're going to get with them.
You never know what you're going to get. That's why I've been listening. You know what I've been getting into a lot lately is fucking, which songs I've always loved for about 30 years, but only sort of half a dozen sort of single like ones, is Susie and the Banshees.
Oh, hell yeah. I love them.
Mate, I've always heard about them because from the day dot, because I was hanging around punks and that in the 80s. So when you hang around punks, you heard of Susie and the Banshees. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, right. So, and I always liked the songs like, you know, Happy House and Israel and Spellbound especially, and sort of Christine and Dear Prudence, all that stuff. But they're kind of singly songs. And I knew punks and goth girls that had their albums, but I never really listened to them. Some I'd hear that weren't the singles and they didn't really click with me. And I can't believe it's taken 30 years. And now I cannot fucking stop listening to Susie. Wow. And I'm sitting there going, how did I think Spellbound was the best song? There's fucking heaps of fucking great songs. Like,
you should check out some Bauhaus and Christian Death while you're at it.
Well, see, all that stuff is, as I said, I'm quite well versed in a lot of music, because before I got into metal, when I was like 16, 15, I was hanging around this English bloke who was kind of alternative and a bit punk and weird and on the dole. And he's the one that showed me, this is when Neuromantic and stuff is starting. So he showed me a lot of stuff which was sort of underground then. So he showed me early, like the Jam and early Ultravox and Bauhaus and the Damned and sort of. See, he showed me all that stuff. That's why I heard Susie and the Banshees, all this Joy Division.
Right.
But I didn't like it all.
Right.
So he liked all that. I liked Talk, early U2. Flock of Seagulls. I like that first record, Flock of Seagulls one. Some Human League. But I watched 2 documentaries the other day on early electronic English music. I had no idea. This blew my mind.
Like
Human
Throbbing
League,
Gristle.
like Throbbing Gristle, Genesis Porridge. That's that guy, isn't it? Right. What other bands did he do? What was the other?
Oh, they did
David. What's his name?
Psychic TV.
Current 93 or something.
There's Psychic TV, and I think Current 93, and then they did some stuff with Download. He did some stuff with the first 2 Download albums with Kevin Key from Skinny Puppy.
Okay. Right.
Weird trippy vocals.
Because also there was that band called White House around that too. Do you remember that band? It's early ugly noise music. Like, early ugly streaming.
Yeah. Atonal, arrhythmic, like.
So I sort of that guy, English guy, showed me a lot of that stuff. He liked all the different stuff except metal. He fucking hated it. And then
I noticed there was always some friction between the metalheads, the goths, and the punks. Like we all would hang around each other, but there'd always be points of contention where it's like, no, I can't listen to that pussy music. Like I can't. Like.
But you know what? You listen to I was listening to Susie and the Banshees today, mate. Do you know what I fucking marvel about them is her singing is just so fucking unreal.
Yeah,
unreal. And all the guys in the band play their instruments not like most blokes play those instruments.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Who plays guitar like this guy? Fucking no one. Who plays drums like this guy?
Yeah, pretty unique.
And the bass player's just there, kind of looking cool and fucking underground, right? But I'm like
playing with a guitar pick.
Who plays drums like this? No one plays drums. It's just weird times and bang and sort of just toms instead of snares, and that guitarist is just what's going on, and it all works.
right.
It's brilliant. I can't believe it's taken me this long to fucking listen to these epic records. Like,
better late than never, right?
Yeah. That's what, you know what's so great about that? It is when you're kind of old and rusty in the tooth and you go, what can I listen to? And you find something that's old. And you go, they got 12 albums.
Yeah. So speaking of like pretty vocals, what do you think of Cockatoo Twins?
You know, they were, I couldn't tell you. I know exactly who you're talking about because they're the kind of band they go, if you like Kate Bush or Tori Amos and that, you want
right. Yeah,
but I've never really gone in there. It's like Sarah McLachlan. She's another one that you get thrown at with. But I've heard some of her stuff, but not really. I've always gone more Kate Bush because I grew up with Kate Bush.
Sure.
Because Australia took to Kate Bush quite early, and I was in the 70s as a kid, so she was just on the telly.
Right.
So I saw that first Wuthering Heights clip when I was a kid. They put it on the telly and play her clips all the time, and I was like, who's this fucking freaky chick?
she just hit I think she just had a recent. She hit the charts because of Stranger Things. Yeah. Oh, hey, Steve, real quick. Sorry to interject here. But there's I've got the countdown, so there's like 4.5 minutes left on this session.
Why do they do this?
It's stupid, and they didn't even have a monthly subscription. It's like you can buy it for the whole year for $150, and I'm like, I'm just going to use it this one time. Like, I'm not going to do that.
And why 40 minutes? Why not an hour?
Right. Because they don't want people recording podcasts for free.
Yeah. Well, we can do it. We can do more if you want. I'll gladly come on.
I definitely want to talk comedy with you. I mean, the music conversation is great, and but
yeah, let's go comedy. I'll go comedy. So, what do you play anyway?
Instrument wise?
Yeah.
I play like 14 instruments.
Good effort. All at once? Fuck.
Yeah. I got the bass drum on my back, and like the cymbals on the knees, and
it's a new element to the heavy metal we're adding.
Right.
The one man, beach time band.
Somebody needs to bring that. Well, people have brought it back with electronic music. You just show up with a keyboard and a laptop, and you put on a show.
So, what do you play in the metal band? Like guitar, bass?
I was playing bass and keys with the metal band, and currently I'm playing with a bunch of hippies. So I'm making beats and playing keys and tenor saxophone, and I'm lead vocals. And
all right, cool.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird mishmash of styles because like I don't like the Grateful Dead. I don't like Fish. Like it's just never been my thing, you know. So and they all like that. So I've just kind of brought my goth industrial metal jazz sensibilities into their hippie jam band music, and we've kind of found a interesting marriage.
Oh,
yeah,
that's cool. I've never listened to Grateful Dead either.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
I was supposed to hear it. It somehow would have drifted into my life. I always figure.
I think you need to eat a minimum of a 10 strip for it to make any sense. 10 strip of acid.
It's a kind of jam band or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sort of, yeah. I watched this rock show from out of New York called Sea of Tranquility, and they sort of. You ever watch that show? It's a good show.
I don't think I've.
Yeah, it's just a YouTube channel. A guy my age, he grew up into Kiss, and then he got into thrash, and then he got into the 90s. He sort of got into prog, and he's just had a website for years to review prog records and metal and that. And then he's got all these cast of characters that just come on. All these guys, they're fucking great. They talk horror movies, metal, prog,
nice.
fucking, and they all know tons about it.
Right.
Yeah, you know, like tons, like fucking. So it's great. I remember how I got into it because one day I go, some blokes count down Celtic Frost records. I thought, who's this bloke? I'll listen to him. Then I saw the same bloke going, 10 best Moody Blues records. I go, who's this bloke? He's gone from Celtic Frost to the Moody Blues. Right? Yeah. Right. All right.
All right, cool. That was relatively painless.
It was indeed. Excellent.
Yeah, I thought I was going to have to go on like a 15-minute tirade on how shitty Zoom is, but.
All right, comedy. Let's get into it.
Yeah. So I love horror stories. And comedy is just a perfect setting for things to go wrong. And I was wondering if you could maybe paint a picture of like how that first year of open mics was in Sydney.
Well, I always think this is my little theories. Because comedy is a difficult one to do.
Right.
And it takes balls to start. Because it's like surfing. You can't see practice. You can play guitar for 10 years in your room and join a band. You can practice football with your mates. You can do a play, you go rehearsals, you do this, you know. But if you have to start comedy, where do you start? In front of everyone.
Right.
Can you do it? No. Then you know it's a nightmare. So it's the same with surfing. Where else can you start? The river, the pool? No. Like yeah, right.
Yeah.
You have to go in the sea with the massive. But I don't know how to do it yet. I know it's going to be rough.
Yeah.
It's like
doubly so if you don't know how to swim.
Yeah. Completely, right? Which some comics don't.
Right. Exactly.
Right. So I sometimes think the comedy gods, they go, if you got the balls to do the first one, they kind of let your first gig go all right.
Right.
You know, so you go, oh, yeah, it'd be 5 minutes. We've got a few laughs, and no one fucking threw anything at me. then they might even let your second one go all
right.
But then they say this. Now we've got to see if you've got the metal to keep going. So here's ultimate death. Now you're going to have to walk out of this club through these fucking people feeling like a piece of shit, get in your car, drive home and hate yourself. All right. Right. Are you still going to keep going? Yeah. You're right. So, you know, and deaths can just keep continuing. You get a bunch of people that don't go for your comedy. Like, I mean, you get better at sometimes winging them around, or just even if it's shit going on, well, you don't feel as bad, but you can still get them where they just don't like it. You know, they just I do it now. If the audience isn't any good now, I actually tell them, I go, I don't like you. Right. I tell them, listen. I said, I've done this for 25 years. Now, I don't expect all of you to like me. Right? Who likes everything? No one likes everything. Yeah, you know. Right? But if none of you like me, right, I've already proved for 25 years that this works.
Right.
Right. So if none of you get it, it's not me.
Yeah.
It's you.
Because
Because I've done the same stuff in front of groups of people who have fucking killed themselves laughing. Right?
Yeah.
So basically I go, listen, because you'll sit there judging me, fair enough, you pay some cash, will this guy be fucking deliver the goods? Right? I'm here.
No refunds, no refunds.
Right? But I just go, I go, I'm turning this franchise around. I start doing reviews on crowds now. I give you about 2 out of 5, right? Do you know what's so funny?
By show of hands, who's got a high school education?
Right. So, do you know what's funny? Because I can do it like this, sometimes you win them around.
Right.
Because they go, well, we don't want to be those people.
Yeah. Just use reverse psychology and peer pressure.
Mate.
I love it.
I did it one night in Sheffield. They hadn't been given the other acts that much. I'm going, they're experienced acts. You give them nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing, right? Then I ended up doing about 40 minutes, and they fucking loved it, right? The chick who was MC, and she goes, how did you walk on there, tell them they suck, and then they loved you? I go, because really because I didn't tell them they suck. I just told them, you could have a good time if you want to fucking get into it, but
right. You got to get past those trigger words,
take the plug out of your ass. It's not even that. Some crap. Sometimes it's the punchline of the whole joke is I go, they say in entertainment, well, Steve, you can't blame your audience. I go, well, I've done about 20,000 gigs in my life. Yes, you fucking can, right? Because some nights there's a lot of boring cunts out there, and some nights they all get together and go out, right? Sometimes I can tell if a crowd's boring when I'm backstage because they don't talk much.
Right.
Like there's no psychic energy in the room.
Do you think cell phones have changed that?
Or
smartphones, I should say.
I don't know what. I think comedy's still pretty safe from smartphones, except the drunk chick who just is addicted and can't stop fucking Facebooking in the corner, right? Like we're in this era with these programmed bots that just
How often do you get a call? Someone taking a call in the audience during the middle of a joke? Like
I walked off stage in Ireland. I've been on the road doing an underground tour. So okay, I'll live up to that. I choose to go underground. So it's rough. I've 20 shows in 22 days. 2-hour shows, not 20-minute spots, 2-hour fucking shows.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm waiting around pubs and, I'm sleeping and I'm eating chicken burgers at midnight and I'm sleeping in hotels or at fucking, where's the dressing room? There's no dressing room. In a pub, I've got 4 hours from a stage. I've got to stand near the dunny. Oh, sorry, so you start to get mental, you've been on the road, right? So I'm doing a show in this town in Ireland. No one ever goes there. I went there. Killing. They love it. Right? And there's 2 women who are down the front with their husbands and that. They love it. Like they're falling off their fucking chairs, these chicks. But they're fucking. Right. Then halfway through, they just decide to start making phone calls. And just talking. And I've been on the road so long I could have dealt with it better, but I not flipped, just fucking snapped and told them to fuck themselves and fucking walked off. I'd already done an hour and 40 minutes, so they can't say they didn't get their money's worth. But,
right.
But I just fucking because you get to that point, especially, I've been on the road for fucking nearly 3 weeks. There's that part of you where you just get, I can't comprehend the fucking retardedness. Like,
hey, that's our word.
I can't comprehend. You're a grown adult,
right?
Who takes a phone call in a fucking?
Yeah.
do you take a piss next to the coffin at a funeral? Don't you have any fucking etiquette as a person? Don't you?
Yeah. If it's an Irish wake, maybe.
Yeah. I was talking about that this morning. Irish ones are different. You can have a laugh. And fucking carry on, right?
Yeah.
But and I can't remember anybody teaching me this. It was just kind of in the 70s. You just kind of had manners. I don't understand how this is so difficult for you people. Like it's I don't go into the library with a fucking bullhorn with 10 of me metal mates fucking going, well, you don't do that, do you?
And
I'm not a total
doing that here lately, yes.
And I'm not like I'm a total rule, a follower, obey a fucking conformist. It's just fucking manners, mate. You want to live in a society with a bunch of people, just
Yeah. You don't have to like them. Just don't shit on each other. That should, shouldn't be complicated.
Here's the funny thing. You did not like me. You chicks were falling off your fucking chairs.
Yeah.
Why did you want to wreck this? What? Your panties were dripping, bitch. You were pissing yourself. I seen you pissing yourself. You were one of the ones I noticed. This chick's gonna fucking wet herself. Right? Yeah. And then she thought, fucking, I'll wreck it. Like,
wow.
What are you doing?
Short attention spans, Like,
yeah, something goes on. Or like.
I mean, actually, that
maybe sometimes I when I think about it, you go, you know what it is. Sometimes this was a country town in Ireland, and it's not like they're all dumb or they're all hicks, but they live different.
Right.
So it's a bit more fucking colloquial. It's a bit more sort of, around town. When we got there, the guys who were setting up the stuff, they're all professional guys. But I could tell straight away, my tour manager, he's like, no, it's not professional enough, because it's just like, there was a bunch of people sitting there. The room wasn't open. We haven't done sound check. Well, like, who are these people? Right. They'll be grand, man. No, they won't be grand. Get them out. Like, yeah, right. Like, so it's a bit more kind of, we live down here in the countryside, and like, right. You just go, nah, fuck like, you.
Hey, can you turn the game off in the background, please?
So you come from Ireland, that could be good for that stuff with England. You're from America, like I'm from Australia. They can have things like that. Are you going to turn that off? No.
We didn't even want a comedian. Like, you're being thrust upon us. We're just here to have a pint with our bros and watch someone kick a ball around.
Oh, mate. I can imagine, mate, there'd be some fucking drawing. I mean, there's great rewards for getting successful in the United States, but like Australia, you could have some parts where just, Jesus Christ, some sports bar on a Saturday afternoon, a bunch of fucking jock maniacs.
Yeah. I mean, that's about where I'm at. I'm still doing more bar gigs than not, sometimes a theater or two, but I haven't graduated to the club circuit yet. But from like a promoter friend of mine, just does her own tours, and she was saying, well, actually, the clubs don't pay you as much as you can make at the bars. And I'm like, no shit. She's like, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a woman. Because like, I'm not gonna, like scale the pyramid on a ladder made out of dicks. I'm just
all this fucking just because I'm a woman bullshit. I'm like, what are you people talking about? You're talking to a 55-year-old man here. You can't tell me. I've been in comedy a quarter of a century. You can't tell me. Oh well, I saw this article in England the other day. Everybody knows how notoriously hard it is for women in stand-up comedy. For starters, does everybody know that?
Everybody? Gossip on the street.
But secondly, it's a lie.
Yeah.
Right? Listen, I've been in the scene for 25 years. There was black blokes, black chicks, lesbians, weirdos, guys from council estates, posh blokes, Aussies, Canadians, Scottish guys, red-headed weirdos, fucking alcoholics, right?
Right.
Were you funny?
Just kind of just give a shit.
Were you funny? Right. I'll tell you what else. Capitalists have no time for sexism or racism. Why? They want cash.
Right.
So if some chick or black guy turns up, or fucking freaky redhead white maniac, but kills all the time and does great gigs, will you make me money? Yeah, well, come in.
Yeah.
Plus, it's entertainment. You can't tell me entertainment's not open to bourgeois fucking shit.
Right. Oh yeah.
It's entertainment. They're used to fucking transgenders or gays or fucking drug addicts or fucking mutants or it's entertainment. Mutants.
Yeah. We need more mutants in this industry. Definitely need more mutants.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's entertainment.
Yeah.
Who gets into entertainment? The people. Haven't you seen bands from the 50s with 3 white guys and 2 black guys? They don't give a fuck. Can you play bass? Yeah, well, like. So they're trying to tell me these things. Oh, it's so hard, and everyone was it? I'll tell you. See, it's very simple. I grew up in the 70s. Of course, there's some things that are fucking rah rah rah, but that's life.
Right.
And as I said, if you are an outsider, chosen or not, things are more difficult. Big deal. You get more reward from that.
Right. Whatever doesn't kill you makes you stranger.
But mate, Good sign. Plus, to tell you this, so here's what they don't get. Everybody thinks success, and especially sometimes through an American mindset, because you're more corporatized, bigger industries, and within the mindset of the States, right?
Yeah.
England has it, but it's a bit more fucking, it's older. It's theatre, and that is older. And so,
right.
So, but see, you're from metal underground. See, this is what people don't understand about the mainstream. They say they all go into the system because that's where they think the success is.
Right.
Now, it can be, you could make money in there if you want to. You be Jimmy Carr. I remember when he was a fucking open spot, he went into the BBC and now he makes $50 million a year. Right?
Oh, shit.
So, yes, if that's what you think success is, right?
Right.
There it is. But if this machine makes you, a lot of the fans you've got are not fans because they're not into stuff. This is the mainstream.
Right.
Right. The mainstream.
Flavor of the week.
These aren't even people that come to comedy clubs with people they don't know who are on.
Right.
So when I came from metal world to comedy, I thought I suddenly was in front of the mainstream. But then it wasn't until later on when I got more successful and met successful guys, I realized, and did bigger gigs, I realized, oh no, a bunch of guys or chicks that go out on Saturday night and see a bunch of comics they don't know, but they went there anyway. They may be mainstream kind of people, but they took a chance.
Right.
They don't know who's on. We'll go down. We'll fucking see what's on. There's the mainstream. They don't go there. They go where they're told to go.
Right.
And so
the Apollo.
So here's the thing. They go and see the actor that they're supposed to go and see because he's the one that's the thing. And then they go, oh, look, I'm successful. The actor goes, look, all these people come and see me. No, but you haven't got any fans.
Right. How much merch are you selling from your website?
see, and if you disappeared for 5 years, you'd disappear.
Oh, yeah.
Right, because you've got no fans. See, I went and had a mental breakdown for 6 fucking years. Then I come back and get locked down for 2 years. And then I do a tour of Ireland and basically sell it out. Nearly a decade with no fucking anything. Why? Because I've got fans.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Right. You go, right. Well, now I'm not selling 5,000 seats. I'm selling 50 to 200. Right. But I've got fans.
Yeah.
And I'd rather play to, because they'll keep you there. I mean, Iron Maiden have fans. They might, an Iron Maiden fan might not like all their records, but they'll probably buy it if they've got it. If they're
totally.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, you can see a record that gets big in the mainstream, and then the next record comes out, which is just as good, but the mainstream didn't care about it. They didn't follow it up. They didn't get told. It didn't get promoted enough, and they didn't follow it up.
Or the machine didn't pump enough money and effort into the endeavor, just because
having them bother to notice.
Yeah, then the next big thing's already there, but
exactly. Whereas a proper fan knows when their band's next record comes out, and then goes and gets it.
Right.
Why do they know why do they know it's coming out? Because they're involved in this.
Yeah.
If they're into metal, they're reading metal mags, and they're here. Oh, Opeth have got a new record coming out in a month. And then they're right. Now I'm waiting for that record. They don't know if they're going to like it. They might not. Right. But
yeah. Do people still read magazines?
I hope so.
Yeah. Oh, so I wanted to kind of pick your brain a little bit on like your process, because I love looking under the hood, and because everybody kind of has their own writing flow, and how they explore ideas. Like a lot of there's the camps that'll have a couple premises they want to explore, and then just get up on a mic and wing it until they flesh it out, like on the stage, right? Yeah. And then you have people like me, like I'm more like verbatim, like I have the joke in my head, I write it down word for word, I rehearse it, and do it exactly the way that I came up with it in the first place. So like where do you fall on?
That's a good question, and I've thought about that a lot. I hope I don't get too long-winded.
Oh no, that's fine.
When I started writing jokes to come from music, I was just kind of funny guy.
Yeah.
Wasn't class clown enough. I was serious. I was in bands. I was fucking
right.
But if you notice, lots of guys in bands who are serious, they're not. They're funny.
Yeah.
They'd love to be comedians, right?
Yeah.
And lots of comedians would love to be in bands for a while, so they could stand against fences and go.
Right.
We've got to do both, right?
Yeah. Hail Satan.
Yeah. And so when I first started, I thought I wrote very one-liner, deadpan-y, sort of, this is how I write jokes. And I wanted to tell some stories because I was kind of like that guy. I'm good at telling stories, but of course, suddenly you get on stage, it's a lot harder than it is in front of your mates. Right?
Yeah, right. That's the biggest mistake I see open micers do is like get up and tell an anecdote with no punchlines or anything, just a meandering story about some people you don't know or give a shit about. And then you're like, okay, where am I supposed to laugh? Like, what's going on? It's like, oh, exactly, you had to be there,
And I think I know why open micers do that, because I probably saw it because when you're young and you're checking out of the comics, and then you see a guy who's so professional and good, and he does something like that, and what it seems like he just told them about his trip to the shop, right? And they all fucking laughed, and but this guy's fucking brilliant at it.
Yeah. There's a punch in every other line of the story.
Yeah. So I started doing very verbatim jokes. I wasn't good at riffing. When I first started, I wanted to be like those American comics. I liked American big. I liked the energy of like Leary and Sam Kinison and when Richard Pryor was on fire. I liked that American kind of big energy fucking, and guys that could yell. Americans seem to get into that fucking ranting fucking, and I kind of liked that. I liked that a lot. But I also I used to listen to Woody Allen and that a lot. And then and really, I'd followed comedy, not followed it, but I'd been into it throughout my life. We used to listen to Bill Cosby records, and we'd always watch Eddie Murphy. And
I think Bill Cosby's way funnier now.
And of course, late 80s was a great time, the 80s. So we got into all that Eddie Murphy Raw and Richard Pryor and Sunset Strip and Steve Martin at the LA Bowl or whatever it's called, the LA Forum or something like that.
That one was
I don't know why we had these. We just had these fucking VHS cassettes and we just watch them all the time. And then and we listened. It's funny, I remember listening to Slayer records and then Bill Cosby records. Right?
I think that's the most metal thing you've said this entire interview.
And so when I started comedy, I just read lots of books on comedy. I just started reading bios of guys, anyone from Seinfeld to that Tim Allen to Joan Rivers. I just thought, so I thought I'd just read about comedy. I don't fucking know how to do it. But I'd always watched it, Billy Connolly and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So, but then I wanted to be like, as I said, just kind of brash and loud and fucking preachy like these Americans, but I wasn't good at it. So I went very, especially Australia's not the right environment for that. You come across as a bit of a fucking, especially when you're young and you're an open mic, you don't know what you're doing. Americans,
who's this cunt?
Totally. As my therapist in Australia once said, you goes, Australia's a shame-based nation. You goes, the Americans are shameless and we're shameful. Right. Right. And so I wrote very tight jokes, like you should say, right? They're all verbatim, which I think is a big skill too. Here's the big thing. Guys that can riff, and all right, you get those MC guys that can riff a room and make it all laugh, and that's great. It's magic and people are laughing on the spot.
Totally, yeah.
That's great, but it's not the talent of writing comedy.
Right, yeah.
And there's and like writing a great song, writing jokes, it's like, because I've seen guys who tell a joke one night and it's killer, and they say it, and all the words are right. And the next night, one of the words, they just changed, didn't use the same word. I'm like, no. Didn't you notice that's the right word?
Right.
Didn't you notice that, mate? No. You've got to say pineapple, not mango. Pineapple hits. Yeah. Mango doesn't work.
It's the syllables. It's the the rhythm. The tone. It is like writing music. Yeah.
So therein lies the skill of, do you know how this is coming across? How are the words painting the picture? How's the snap of the word? Like. So there's a skill in. There's a and a bigger skill than riffing.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's more like improv. If you want to riff all the time, go do improv. It's not improv. The same as improv. Yeah, it's not stand-up.
And I've met musicians that can't jam and can only write riffs, and that a lot of metal musicians can't jam.
Oh yeah, I know.
So there's a skill in jamming. That's like riffing.
Same with a lot of classical musicians that are just used to reading off a page. They can't write or jam or
They can't jazz it up.
Yep.
They can't. Jazz guys can get start. Okay, fucking let's go. Right.
1 4 5 5.
Yeah, just follow the drummer. Follow the drummer, and follow the key changes. So I'm impressed with guys that are good at that. It's fun.
Oh yeah, same.
The audiences have a great time sometimes because it's so natural and fucking on the spot. But there's a great skill to being able to write the fucking thing and then look like it's not written.
Right. That's the magic trick. That's
So some people go to me, you're just making that up. No, it's all written totally fucking. So I'm not as totally verbatim as I used to be unless I know I've got the right thing. Which sometimes I wish I did write, because sometimes I've got great bits and I riff them, and sometimes I riff it so well, I think cool, and then I do it the next night. I'm like, oh fuck it, I should write this. Write this. Right. So I'm in. But now, how do I write? I write down ideas. I do it like you're saying. I go on stage, and then I'll start to. Because you get that confidence. I'm just going to talk about this.
Right.
Yeah, right, I'm just going to talk about it, and then, or you might have one kind of punchline that will take it, but you go, I'm just going to talk about it, because there you do know, once you've got enough skill in that space, the punchline can drop because you just riffed it, bang, but you got it, but you got to know you got to keep that one. Right?
Yeah. That's why I record every single set, like just every.
I should have recorded my fucking sets all those years and gone home and listened to them, because what a stupid mistake I made. When I was editing my DVDs and watching the stuff back objectively, like if I was a producer, I started making jokes by riffing off myself.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I've never even thought of that, because I'd be listening to myself back editing, and then I'd fucking think about a joke. I could say that.
Yeah.
I could say that, because I'm not saying it now. I'm watching it. Then I went, oh, I could fucking do that.
Yeah.
And I realized I should have been doing this my whole fucking career.
Yeah. It's a bit of a cheat code. Yeah.
So. There's just difference. I think deadpan is something that comedians should master.
That's how people tend to describe me.
I think deadpan is something that, because it gives you. I was very deadpan at the start. I stopped after about 5-6 years. I was at a big club in Nottingham in England that used to do these they had about 12 clubs. It was more mainstream, so they'd have hens nights and dancing afterwards and chicken in a basket fucking comedy, right? But they could be great crowds and bigger, 600 fucking people in there. So,
nice. But
one night I was up there doing me deadpan-y jokes, and there's fucking 600 girls and chicks and blokes pissed and scared, and I just thought, you know what, I've mastered this now. I can't hold this room together with fucking bunch of deadpan jokes. But
see, that's scary.
You could see, but this is a wild weekendy fucking
right.
Drunk girls with fucking things on their heads. Right, like
the reason I was going to say that's a little scary, because that's kind of where I'm at with like some peaks of energy in there with deadpan around. But one of my questions for you was, what advice?
No, but hang on, let me finish.
Yeah, okay, for sure.
As you say, you like that. As I said, should master that.
Right.
Because deadpan, I can't stand a comic that won't stop talking.
Yeah.
We got some of them here. They just got to stop talking. Sometimes you get gay guys, because that gay thing where you can just kind of be catty and talk and constantly. There's a guy in Sydney does it. It can be funny.
Right.
It's a kind of, they know how to do those funny head turns and sarcastic lines, and it's all, and you can sort of be a bit catty and rude, but go over there, throw it away, and it's a good style. It works, but sometimes it's like there's no gap in it. It's like, oh fuck, there's an Irish guy here who does it. He's not a gay guy. He's just a guy that's he just talks and talks and talks and talks and talks, and you're like, fucking Jesus. So I think deadpan is something to master, because it gives you the understanding of that quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Like in music,
silence, yeah.
And like in music, when you've got that, when you've got quiet, you learn timing better.
Mm-hmm.
Because in that space, well, where's there it is, right?
Right, yeah. Just like the click of a metronome.
In that pause between that fucking punch, there's a sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
There it is. And then once you start to know where all these sweet spots are, you can also realize there's a few sweet spots.
Yeah.
And also you start to realize, because if sometimes you get to the sweet spot but someone kicks a beer can over.
Oh shit!
And the sweet spot, but you didn't speak yet. But I've done it where I've actually sometimes the sweet spot gets wrecked, but other times I realise I can now remanipulate the sweet spot. I go, you're right. I know how to find it. There it is. Right. So when that's what's great about deadpan. Master that, and also it makes you more fearless. Because some guys don't stop talking because they're actually scared to shut up.
Yeah.
And I'll teach you something about an audience. When you shut up, they respect you more.
Yeah.
Because really, you're standing in a position that most of them won't go to.
Oh, a bigger fear than death, and all of this is like surveys. Yeah.
So they won't go there. See, I learned this in Australia because they'd stick me in the corner of some pub on a pallet. Right, there's guys still sitting at the bar, and no one's really. And I'd watch guys go up, and they'd go, "Come on, everybody, turn around and give." And no one's taking any notice. Right?
Yeah.
Well, they don't want to be told what to do. Right? They're not. So, and it's desperate.
Yeah.
See, and the audience
a little cringy.
And the audience is it wants to be led, but if you don't lead it, it wants blood.
Yeah.
Right. So, right. So I realized that if they weren't going to shut up and they brought me on, then I just stand there, right, and say nothing, because they start to go, why isn't he scared? See, it's all unconscious to them, right? Why isn't he scared, right? So then, because they realize you're not scared, they start to trust you to lead them.
Right.
Yeah, right. Because they want to be led. They want to have a good time.
Yeah,
right. But if you're not going to give them a good time or make them feel uncomfortable, they'll all turn on you, right? Right. Even the ones who won't fully turn on you, like all humans, they join the herd. They join the fucking.
Right. Yeah. It just takes a couple of bitter old Karens at a table to stonewall you for a few jokes in a row. But
I said, if you master that thing, I'm telling you, it's a psychology that works. They respect you.
Yeah.
They respect you because you got balls to stand there. Because they start to go, they know what they're doing.
Yeah. Well,
so they calm down, and then they start to get. I mean, you want to make sure you've got something to back it up when you fucking have to.
Sure. Yeah. Just do a performance art piece where you just stand there for 45 minutes not saying anything. Now that's a power move. We're running towards the end of the clock. We've got about 8 minutes or so. But okay. I did want to ask you, what advice would you give to a comic about to do their first 45-minute set?
Oh, you're about to do first 45?
Yep, next month. Yeah.
Well, try and do it somewhere else before you do it, if this one's important. Like, if you're worried about how do I remember the whole thing, break it up into sections and use the ending line of, say, a section, and just remember that in the beginning of the next section in your head. So that's an easy link.
Right. So, yeah. That's what I've been doing, arrows and brackets.
Yeah. So you don't try and remember this whole thing and sort of thing. Go, no, there's the drug bit, and that it ends with me talking about heaven, and heaven means that it leads into
pedophilia.
Yeah. Right. So you just go. So then you go, all I've got to remember is that heaven goes into pedophilia. Heaven goes into pedophilia. You don't want to say that as a mantra every day of your life.
Well, maybe Bill Cosby does.
But and then also don't rush. That's always important. Don't rush. And make sure the last joke's good.
Right.
Yeah, right. Make sure and I don't know if you end on sex. If you notice, a lot of comedians, if you're watching their specials, they'll end on talking about sex. I never used to, because I'll go against the grain and everything and go, fuck it. But if you watch them, next time you watch, you go to the end and then they'll go, why? They talk about Why? Because they want to leave sex in people's heads. It's all advertised.
Right. I thought it was you wanted to ease them into the raunchy stuff, like get them on your side first before you start, talking about what everybody's especially insecure about,
That's my style. I always start a bit, hey, some jokes about this, bit of jokes about that, bit of jokes about this until about 50. If we've got an hour and a half to do or something, so about I could do 15, 20 minutes of this until we go. To me, it's almost like, all right, now we shift gear, right? That was the intro, so you could go, oh, this guy's all right.
Yeah.
Now we're going to get into fifth gear. Now we'll start to talk about some proper shit. Right?
Don't open with necrophilia is what you're saying.
Well, depending what kind of fucking impact you want to make in the audience. Like, there was a guy here, Jerry Sadowitz, a Scottish guy, who was a maniac and was like a magician performer, but also a maniac. And he would do comedy, but it wasn't like normal comedy.
Oh, like Amazing Jonathan, like the magician comedian.
I met that guy years ago. Amazing Jonathan. No, this guy was more of a fucking psychopath in a way.
Oh,
right?
Wow.
Not a psychopath,
Right. A lovable psycho.
Fucking hard, fucking Scottish and fucking eccentric and fucking mad a bit. He walked on one night, he opened his show like this, he just walks on and goes, do you know if Jesus was a fucking spastic, they'd have had to crucify him with a swastika?
Oh shit, that might be the best opener I've ever heard.
That was more of an Irish accent than Scottish. I can never do Scottish, so if there's any Scottish people out there, I do apologise. I'm crap at your accent, right? But that was there's every fucking sacred cow in the fucking pantheon skewered in fucking one line.
We just relieved all the tension right now. Like, just get it all out of the way so you know what you're getting yourselves into.
It's like, there you go, folks. You ready? Yeah, I'll be ready. I'd be fucking pissing myself. There was a guy from the States who used to come over to Edinburgh. He's passed away now because he was ill all his life and he had a rough childhood with abuse and stuff. And he had dark jokes. Sean, you may have heard of him. What was his surname? I always forget. But he had, what was that fucking joke he used to do? Fuck, it was dark. Oh, fuck, I can't remember. Was it this one? He goes, I think he goes, he did too. He goes, I have a black girlfriend. And he did. He had a black girlfriend. He's going to have a black girlfriend. And sometimes when we have sex, she starts yelling out the N-word. No.
Oh, man.
The kind of jokes modern people aren't allowed to hear. But that guy was what are you going to say? This guy's life was fucking intense,
Right.
Fucking childhood abuse. He had illnesses. He passed away. He fucking lived, one of these road warrior maniac characters. Where else could have this guy gone?
Yeah.
Comedy. This is when comedy was fun, when the maniacs turned up. Are you broken? Well, like you wouldn't believe, right?
I've often joked and been quoted as saying, like, well, after my 7th concussion, comedy seemed like a brilliant idea.
Exactly.
Well, hey, Steve.
That's what comedy festivals used to be like. It used to be like fucking, neurotic summer camp.
That's awesome. Okay, that's the name. That's the title of the episode is Neurotic Summer Camp. It's been so much fun talking with you, and such an honor. And I really appreciate it. Is there anything you'd like to plug with the last couple minutes before we go?
No, it's just be cool. I hope you enjoyed it, folks. Whoever's listening, if you like a bit of metal and comedy, and good luck with you. Good luck with your 45-minute set.
Oh, thank you so much.
And tell me if you want to do another one, let me know. Come on, and we'll talk some more.
Oh, hell yeah! I'd love to have you back sometime.
All right, no worries.
Well, cool. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Have a great night, man.
Thanks. Bye.
See you.